Hello and welcome back to another episode of the M3D things that I printed in 3D this week. Awkwardly titled. As you obviously noticed, and several of you guys commented on it, I didn't actually show anything that I printed last week, so I'm going to show a couple of the things that I printed this week. And actually it's a bit of a this and that this week. First up is one I've been meaning to show you for quite a little while now, and I've honestly just forgotten, because it's something that I've been using. The things I've found that I really enjoy that I've printed so far are the things that are functional, the things that are really usable and useful in everyday life. So if you guys are not aware, and I'm not sure how you would be if you actually watch this channel, I do quadcopter related videos on the regular at this point, and for some of the filming on those videos I use this little camera, the Mobius camera. The first 3D printer video I made, I showed this camera and I talked about it a little bit. Relatively inexpensive camera I picked up on Amazon, teeny tiny little thing, and lots of work has been done for it, especially in the 3D printing community. So when I bought this and I first started using it, it has a little clip that it comes with which has a tripod mount on it. I saw that there was a printable GoPro mount for it, so I printed that out and I tried it out, and it just didn't really work out. It didn't fit into the clip very well, and what I was really wanting to do was mount it to my hat. So I started off by using the tripod mount on my hat. I actually screwed a tripod mount up into the brim of my hat, and that put it at a very weird angle. So sitting on top of my head, it would go straight forward. So if I wanted to look at a quadcopter, I'd have to actually lean my head back to see it, which is a little awkward if you couldn't imagine. So I did a little bit more looking around, and I found this. This is a very awkward looking little thing, but the top piece is one piece that you slide the Mobius into. Mine's a little bit damaged at this point because I have heavily used it since then, but it's two pieces, as you can see here. It's the pink part that I printed out, that's the top part, and then this green part, it's actually printed in ABS, that's the bottom part. Each part took a couple of hours to print, and if you hadn't noticed, again, they are different colors because when I first printed them, they were both in pink. Unfortunately, the pink bottom broke very quickly. That's why I printed it a second time in ABS, because this little clip, when you put it over the brim of your hat, it's not terribly sturdy when you do it in PLA. So ABS, it's held up a whole lot nicer. It is still a little bit flimsy. I would like to make it a little bit thicker, so it might be possible for me to take the STL file and edit it in Blender, but so far it has worked out pretty well. And I may not be using this camera for too much longer, but I'll get into that in another video. But as you can see from the printing, like I said, it didn't take a huge amount of time to print these pieces, and it was very nice to see the way that they come together, and they have been extremely sturdy, rock solid. And I just took the two little Velcro strips that actually came with my Mobius camera, and I've put them top and bottom of these so they fit together. I think you're actually supposed to use super glue to hold them together, but luckily for me, in my case, I did not do that. Hot glue probably would have worked just fine, but if I had done super glue, when the bottom piece broke on this, I would have been completely out of luck, and I would have had to like cut it apart. Whereas with this one, I just took the bottom off, I took the Velcro strip off, and I was good to go when I made another one. So if you do have a Mobius camera and you have a 3D printer, be on the lookout for models for this. There are a ton of them out there. This is just the one that I found that I've had the best luck with because it has a really high angle. It's like a 20-degree angle, so when you put it on the brim of a cap, it's looking a whole lot farther upward, so I don't have to actually tilt my head back to see it. The next thing I wanted to show you guys, another very useful thing here. It's just a little piece I've had sitting on my desk and I've been meaning to show you for several weeks now. It's a little all-in-one holder, and it's very customizable. With this one, I've got 4 SD card slots, I've got a ton of micro SD card slots, and then 4 USB slots. So I can take my USB thumb drives and I can stick them in here like this, and I can take my SD cards and stick them in the other end like this, and I can take my micro SD cards and put them in the front. Although the micro SD cards don't work particularly well in this, they don't really want to stay in there, it is still nice to have that as an option, and if you're not going to be moving it around terribly often, it does definitely get the job done. So I've actually been using this as somewhat of a storage for some of my SD cards and micro SD cards, just so I can have them out on the desk and not have to worry about putting them away in a drawer or anything. So, you know, oh, I need a new SD card, there you go. I need this USB stick to pull data off of, there you go. And again, this is extremely customizable. This takes me into a very interesting point. If you're using Thingiverse, like I tend to do for a lot of things, Thingiverse has a ton of things that are customizable. So you go into their little customizer app. In this case, you tell them how many SD card slots you want, how many USB ports you want, whether or not you actually want the micro SD on the front, or you can have it custom print names on the front of it. I really enjoy using the customizer for things like that. So I will link to the original one in my list, and then you can go ahead and take that into the customizer and do with it whatever you want. And the last two things I wanted to show you were both printed using the new Chameleon color changing filament I got from M3D. I will admit, I've had some problems printing this filament. It takes me back to the very first few days that I used my M3D printer. The M3D filament is okay. It's not amazing filament, I hate to say it. In my case, it tends to get a little stringy and a little bit thin, so I had some weird issues. So the very first thing I printed successfully using this color changing filament was another one of these tentacles. Honestly, I will say I could never have enough of these things, so I'm just gonna keep printing them. Every time I try a new filament, I'll probably use this as my standard to make sure that I can actually print properly with it. So So after I had quite a few failures trying to do different models, I finally tried this one, and I was lucky enough that it actually worked. Had to mess around with the temperatures a little bit, but I thought it turned out very nicely. And actually, if you're testing out a phone and you have a phone that's getting hot, put it on something like this, it's gonna change color at a certain temperature, you might be good to go. And the other thing I printed, which actually is part of where I had a lot of the problems, someone suggested that I print something I could either stick in the window or sit outside to give me sort of indications of the temperature. Excellent idea. So I printed out a garden gnome. This is the little MakerBot garden gnome. It's a cute little thing. It's actually about half the size that it was supposed to be, because when I would try to print it out larger, it would just kind of screw up. I was trying it at about 80% because 100% would not work on my printer. Printer's just not big enough. But at 50%, I think it turned out pretty well. It's definitely kind of rough, but I did print it on low. So I may end up trying it out again. But I've had this sitting in the window all morning, and it's been white all morning because it's very, very hot outside. It does let me know how hot it is outside and how much energy my windows are letting out. But as you can see now, it's back to this, almost back to the full orange color now. I've just had it sitting here inside for a little while in the cool air. So it is nice that it changes back and forth like that pretty quickly. I mean, I can sit here and hold this while I talk to you for a couple of minutes, and afterwards you'll see the way the color changes. As far as other things that you guys suggested to print in this color changing filament, most of them were food related. And unfortunately, I don't think any of the PLA materials or ABS materials I've had have ever been food safe, so I've just avoided anything food related. What I would really like to print out that's color changing is something that I could fit around a coffee mug. I think that would be an excellent idea. Just a little strap or something that you could slide up over the bottom of a coffee mug to let you know, oh wait, this is really, really hot stuff. Because basically if you pick it up and the cup is white on the bottom, this is a little too hot to be holding with a hand, even though 85 degrees is not all that hot. But it also will let you know if your coffee's getting too cold for you to drink, that maybe you should take it and put it in the microwave. And you know what? Just sitting here and vamping about that for a second or two, you can see the end of the tentacle is now white. And as it sits here in the cool air for the next couple of minutes, it'll turn back to the orange color. It really only takes, well, as you can see here, I've been sitting here probably 10 or 15 minutes now, and this has gone from almost solid white to mostly orange. It's not back to full orange now, but this one, even now, I just took my hand off of it and it's starting to turn back. So it does change pretty quickly. So other than just having some issues getting it to actually extrude properly and not be terribly stringy or thin, the filament itself does work pretty well. As far as being a color changing filament, this is excellent. It's the first time I've ever seen it, of course. And just sitting here holding it, you can see it's changing colors again because I am warm enough. So yeah, I'm a big fan of this kind of filament. I'm gonna have to continue working with it, and I do still have an awful lot of it left. So if you have any more suggestions for things that I auto print that are not food related and that are not cell phone cases, because one, it's not food safe, and two, my printer will not print a cell phone case. The smallest cell phone that I own at this point is the Nokia Lumia 520, and the printer is not big enough to print a case for that. Maybe a few months down the road, I do have another larger 3D printer coming in November or so. So maybe after that point, I'll be able to print out cell phone cases, and I will let you guys know, of course. There will be a video review and everything. But until that time, I can't do any cell phone cases, unfortunately. So yeah, let me know if you have any more suggestions for the color changing filament. Let me know if there's anything in particular you'd like to see me print. I do tend to err on the side of printing the more functional things. As you've seen, I've got the stands that I've been printing for everything. I've got the Mobius hat cam clip. I've got the little USB SD card holder thing. Those are the things that I've really been having fun with. Printing out characters and things, it's cute, but really it just takes up shelf space, and if it's not something that's usable and functional, it's not something that I'm likely to keep around. So if you have any ideas for anything functional, even if it has moving parts, I would absolutely love to try printing out something with more moving parts. Let me know down in the comment section below. But as always, thank you guys so much for watching. Remember to hit that thumbs up down below the video if you like this video, subscribe to receive more videos when they become available, and I will see you again next time.